The hardest part of inner work is finding the root cause.
I love the video that went viral on your social media about narcissists and how there's a lot of qualities from our parents that we hate the most that we actually attract into a partner. So can you go into that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, trigger warning for everything I ever say, because this will probably trigger a few people. So I've got different views on this. And if you were to look at my dad and what even to this day, what my mum and sister and family members believe, they wholeheartedly see him as a narcissist. So I've come through that sort of upbringing, abuse, mental, emotional, physical abuse. So I've gone through the experience of it. But this is my now healed beliefs and how I do this and how I help people with it. When a baby is born, what parts of a baby is worthy of love? What's your answer to that, Tara?
I would say all parts.
Beautiful. And everyone says the same thing. Because all parts of us are lovable and worthy of love and perfect. But then we go through our life and we go through what we call trauma or pain. And then we learn that some parts of us are not lovable. Now, those parts become the traits that we call narcissistic. So if I say my dad was a narcissist, no one knows what he actually did. But if I said he was controlling, manipulating, abusive, lying, all these things, those are the traits we categorize as narcissistic, which comes from trauma. So this is where I do that exercise that you're referring to. I say, and for the listeners, you can do it as well, is think of your parents and don't judge your answers, just speak authentically. In a one-word answer, do one at a time, do dad first. In a one-word answer, what's the one thing you dislike most about dad? There'll be sets of behaviors that will come up. Controlling, manipulating, dismissing, arrogant, absence, rejection, abandonment, all these things. All of your answers that you think of, and then do mum as well, just so you guys can, the listeners can play along. You'll come up with a list of traits and list of behaviors. These are wounds of yours, quote, trauma of yours. These are things you run away from and you run into because you're trying to not look for it, but therefore looking for it and therefore attracting it. Mm-hmm. You then perceive it, get triggered by it, and it becomes a part of you that you don't love. That's the baby part that comes into it. And people get triggered when I say that. They're like, I never do this. Bullshit. Every human does every trait. I've myself. Mm-hmm. I've lied before. I've controlled before. I've manipulated before. I've been mean before. But I've also been nice, loving, caring, empathetic. I've done all parts. So I love to quote, self-growth or self-development is learning to love all parts of who you are. And that's where a trigger, where you judge someone or you get triggered by something, is revealing a part of you that you haven't learned to love yet. And that's the gift of a trigger. So then you can tune in, find that trait, find that behavior, find that part of you, heal it using, I have a process called the balancing process. And that allows you to heal that wound, but simultaneously learn how to love that part of who you are. So that was a mouthful, but hope that answered.
No, I love that. I feel like that resonates a lot. What's interesting, and I think it's good for people that don't necessarily see that they're attracting partners like their parents. And I never really noticed it until I got into my 30s. And now I'm like, oh, whoa, we literally attract people exactly like our parents. Yeah. And one of the things I noticed just for myself, for anyone listening, is my dad was emotionally unavailable. Like he didn't know how to connect with me on a deeper level or understand why I was doing stuff. He was just strict and told me like that's wrong, but never said, well, why did you do that and how did it make you feel? Like nothing like that. Just like, so then I attracted emotionally unavailable men, and it's almost like I wasn't even it's funny because all my friends are like, I won't even be friends with them unless we can have deep conversation. But with a guy, I was going after the guys that are like emotionally unavailable as a way to be like, let me help you open up. No, you could like share. It's like forcing it like I did with my dad. Yeah. So it's wild.
It's wild. And when you start to see it, I have this like, I teach this at my events that I run, and there's like this sweet spot or this point in your self-growth journey where you start to wake up and you start to turn the lights on and do exactly what you're doing. You're saying, okay, this is the same pattern. I keep doing this in all the relationships I'm in, and I'm the common factor. So it's obviously me. So I'm going to take some responsibility, which is a great step. But then you start to see your shit everywhere. You start to see your triggers, your projections, your patterns everywhere. And it can get really frustrating when you don't have the answer to the root cause. And that's where I'm a big component of let's solve the root cause, not the symptom. A lot of therapy and a lot of ways of people working on themselves. Sometimes it does obviously become a stepping stone, but very often you're just solving symptoms, not root causes. So when you can do essentially what I was saying before, well, what's the trait that triggers me? So unavailable is one of yours from what you just said. So you get triggered when people are unavailable to you. You then will overcompensate. So what I would assume the opposite of unavailable is to be available. So you try to be seen as someone who's very available for others and very accepting of others. That's a coping mechanism. Not saying it's unhealthy, but it's still a coping mechanism. So yeah, I love your level of awareness to be conscious of it. But then the next step, let's find the root cause to it. Let's address that so you stop repeating the same patterns.
It's so true. Okay, so kind of, I would love for you to go into how do you go about like addressing that and healing it. I know you said you have some ways that you do that.
Yeah, I look in it. I'll go. I normally go broad, then I'll zoom in. So my broad answer, inner work, is the process of integrating and healing or dissolving the wounds and blockages that mask your true self. So that's the Statue of David quote that a lot of people have heard. So Michelangelo made the Statue of David. Someone asked him, "How'd you make such a beautiful statue?" He said, "It was really easy. David was always in the statue. I just removed everything that wasn't him." So that's essentially what healing is. It's finding those wounds, those traumas, those limiting beliefs that are limiting the fullness of who we are, the baby that's perfect, all parts of us, and addressing it with a process. There's 5 bodies to heal through. There's the mental body. That's I'll summarize these afterwards. Mental, which is beliefs, perceptions, judgments, conscious, unconscious work. Physical, which is somatics. So if you've ever heard of somatic work or body work, that's what somatic physical body is. The emotional body, that's your emotions and your nervous system. So if you've got suppressed emotions or a dysregulated nervous system. You got the spiritual body, that's where you get into the spiritual world. You got your crystals on, you got your sage and plant medicines and all that shit come into it. And then the 5th is the energetic body. That's where you're going sound healing, Reiki healing, meridian tapping, chakra cleansing, all that stuff. So I like this quote from Bruce Lee. He says, "There's no ultimate martial art, only the ultimate martial artist who knows every martial art and pulls from the right one at the right time to get the right result." So there's no ultimate way to heal. And I see myself as trying to become the ultimate martial artist, where I'm actually learning all these different tools and techniques and modalities to just become a better healer in general, or transformation coach is the main thing that I love doing. So I've done 9 certifications in different modalities. I've tried over 20 as a client. So to circle this back to your question, there's many ways to heal. It depends on the person. So like I've done, just to list out some that I've tried, I've done NLP, I've done timeline therapy, I've done hypnotherapy, DeMartini, plant medicine, breath work, meditation, shadow work, CBT, internal family systems, somatic healing, which is I've done kahuna massages, I've done ayahuasca, I've done psilocybin mushrooms, and all these other ones. So I'm not going to say one's better than the other, even though I see a lot of coaches who say my tool is the best tool on the planet. It's like, you're just projecting. Now, I have my biases, don't get me wrong. Like, I believe some are more effective than others. It depends on the person. The ones that I'm strongest at, so I'll project my beliefs right now. I'm strongest at the mental and the emotional body. So I'm not a shaman, and I don't claim to be one, and I don't plan to become a shaman. I don't think you can really choose that anyways, but like I'm not going to take people through ayahuasca ceremonies. I'll do it as a client. Like I'll go participate myself, but I'm not going to facilitate my own. I'm not a sound healer. I'm not a Reiki healer. I'm not an energy healer. My wife is a sound healer, so we do sound bowls, and she's got this beautiful angelic voice as well, so she uses her voice. But like my voice is shocking for singing, so I ain't doing sound bowls either. So those are not my strong suits. And most of my work is online. So mental and emotional is my strongest 2 that I help people with. So my favorite tool is my balancing process, where I actually use 5 different modalities in the one process. So I use DeMartini, Dr. John DeMartini, if anyone doesn't know who he is, look him up. He's fantastic. So I use his DeMartini method. I'm a DeMartini facilitator. I use NLP. All of the ones I'm about to say is ones I've been trained in. So I do DeMartini, breathwork, NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, and holographics, that's a big conversation of what that is. So I use, 6 in the one. So I become the ultimate martial artist. I pull all these different modalities into the one. So that's my favorite one. And that heals trauma in one process. Now, when I say that, it heals an individual wound. So one of those traits, as an example, abuse, abandonment, rejection, one of said traits, one of those specific wounds, it will heal it in one session. And I've got testimonials. They're really inspiring. There's one that I commonly read out. Her name's Kel. Kel, if you're watching this, I love you. I spoke to her yesterday, actually. And she, trigger warning for everyone. Like I said, trigger warning for everything I say. So she had a big T trauma. She was sexually abused by her dad for 5 years. And I've got this big written testimonial from her that's in my program. And she's done a video testimonial of this as well. So she's happy for this to be known publicly. Sexually abused from the ages of 5 till 9. And sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally. And this huge testimonial. It's really inspiring. But the key part that she says in it, to say I love my dad is something I never thought could ever be possible, considering I was bedridden 8 years ago in so much pain. I've done over 30 plus years of trauma therapy. So she did 30 years of trauma therapy, never healed it. but I feel so grateful writing this in this moment. When you get to love and gratitude, so DeMartini has this great quote. He says, anything you experience outside of love and gratitude is a lopsided perception. So he does a lot of perception work and rebalancing work, mental stuff. So when you get to genuine love and gratitude, you've healed it. And if you, I'm assuming just from the words you said before, Tara, you may not feel absolutely love and gratitude for your dad being unavailable to you. So if you're not at that point yet, you'll still have some resistance to that trait. So you'll still project it a little bit and you'll still get triggered by it, depending on what type of healing work you've done on it so far. So that's an example of my balancing process. That's my favorite one. I also do beliefs. So that's very NLP. So like removing beliefs, and I can get rid of people's beliefs within 60 seconds. Once you know how to, it's actually really easy. So we had a group call yesterday morning at literally this time yesterday, 24 hours ago. We had our group call with my online program. And it's a Q&A session. And it's a first and best stress. And someone said beliefs. So we just went into that. And you can actually remove beliefs within 60 seconds. Once you know the rules and how it all works, you can just jump out of the belief really quickly. So that's the other process that I do. And then the third one that I use the most is meditations, which is very similar to Joe Dispenza, for anyone that's done his work. Big fan of Dr. Joe Dispenza, where he does more bottom-up approaches, where he says two things. Thoughts are the language of the mind, and emotions are the language of the body. So perceptions and beliefs are very mental stuff, which influence both. He does very much change the emotional home. So that's where you do a meditation, and you consciously choose to change the emotions that you feel. Because emotions influence thoughts, thoughts influence emotions. I like to do both. I want to shift beliefs, rebalance perceptions, which also shifts beliefs at the same time, which is trauma. Trauma is perceptions. When you hear me say that, trauma is a perception. So I like to do both. So I do a lot of the mental beliefs and perceptions and trauma, and I also do the emotional side as well. So those are my top 3 tools I use. I do have other tools that I do use, but they're the most 3 common ones that I use. Hope that answers your question.
That's amazing. Okay, there's so much to talk about. I was going to also say, like, what's interesting too about healing yourself is when you say the word trauma to some people, they're like, I don't have any trauma. Like, oh, that's left for people that have been abused or sexually abused and so forth. And they think that that's the only trauma you can have. And so there's a lot of people that don't go do this work because they're like, I don't have trauma. But like trauma can be something like how your parents raise you, like my dad not being emotionally available. To this day, I constantly try to not give up on him, like try to have deep conversations, try to pull it out of him, and I don't give up on him. But then that's what I go do with a partner is I think that that's what love is. I go try to be like, come on, we could sit down and talk about this, like try to get them to open up. And so I'm perceiving that as love. And then I normalize it to myself, like, oh, like I'll make excuses for it. Like, no, they are trying, they will open up. And it's the same thing I did with my dad. So that's could be considered a trauma from a young age. And now, even though we want to talk ourselves out of it or create excuses for it, we have to see, like you said, that we're the common denominator. So if we're seeing patterns in relationships, why are we repeating this? And then we have to really reflect and do work like you're saying. Have you ever done EMDR? I
haven't done it. It's on my, so when I teach the 5 bodies, that's one I have on there because I have heard nothing but great things. I've heard nothing but great feedback from it. So I've got clients that have done it as well. From what I know, it's a very emotional body process where it removes a lot of the emotional charge to moments. I haven't tried it, so I'm just speaking from third person experience. But I've heard great things. I haven't personally tried it myself. I don't know if I will because I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's like really resonant with me, but I've heard nothing but great things. So I've had people that have come to me, and when I teach my clients, I say, guys, do the work with me. But if there's still other bodies that you want to address, here's a list of other things. Go Google or find someone who does these and try that. And EMDR is certainly one of those that I recommend people go try.
For sure. The only reason I say it is because that's the only thing I've tried psilocybin mushrooms that help me release some stuff, meditations, and then EMDR has helped me. But the ones that you named are actually new ones that I haven't tried. So I would love to try those. On a side note, you sound like you can really get into it. Yeah. How much would you say that traumas are controlling our entire like reality and how we perceive the world?
Yeah, beautiful question. So it's a very deep answer. So you don't see things the way they are, you see things the way you are. That Dr. Wayne Dyer said really beautifully. So your beliefs, your trauma, your perceptions is the filters you see life through. So it's everything. So you might have heard your perception is a projection. So your perception of me is a projection of you. So everyone think of them and you, the human, and the way you are the projector, everything in your life is a projection. So that's why whatever you judge, whatever you get triggered by, whatever you attract is you. It's pieces of you, reflections of you. And that's where the ownership allows you to do something about it. Don't try change the projection, change the projector. So that's where if you keep having the same shitty partners, the same shitty patterns, the same judgments, the same triggers, the same whatever, it's you. And that's the gift of ownership to do something about it. So in short, I don't know where to really take the answer. It's 100% you. So whatever, whatever patterns you've got, whatever triggers you've got, whatever sabotaging patterns or bad behaviors, toxic behaviors, things that aren't where you want them to be, the common factor is you. Now, I don't want to dismiss that people can go through horrible things that they had no control over, don't get me wrong. But if you take that ownership of I get to change, I get to heal, I get to evolve and improve the quality of my life and my relationships and everything, then yes, 100%. Look within, find the triggers, find the traits, find the limitations. And that's the hardest part, just a side note. The hardest part of inner work is finding the root cause. So once you can find it, and once you work with me, you can't not see it. I had this one of my clients, Brian, he's fucking hilarious. He's got this huge beard. I love his beard. And he did this post into the community, and he said, "It's like I can't see life. I see life so differently since working with you, Lewis. It's like every time I now judge something in others, I'm like, what's the trait? Oh my God, that's another part of me. I get to go heal that part of me." And you'll start to, it's like you can't, it's like when you step out of the matrix, it's like you can't not see it differently. So, yeah, that's a lot. What your question? A lot.
Yeah. No, I think that you're so accurate and you resonate with me a lot. I was going to say too, the other night I was listening to a Joe Dispenza meditation, and he's telling you, in this specific meditation, he's like, get yourself to like no thought, just to your consciousness. Like behind all of these like things that are chatting in our mind, we're just pure consciousness. And if you could get to that point where like you're all things, you're nothing, you're just being, that's like the point where you can really transform and like choose a new reality and so forth. And so like you're right, like behind all this stuff, we're just pure love, and we're really taking on all these parts of ourselves from our childhood, and then we're looking at the world based off that. That's why it kills me when I hear like girls or people say like every guy's a cheater. And I'm like, oh, if you just looked within yourself, like that's a wound that you really believe that, you know? That's like the most common one I hear the most.
Yeah. Past hurt creates future fear as well. So that example you just said is common. So cheating or betray, that's generally the trait or the behavior. So I've been hurt from this. I don't want to get hurt from it again. So I'm going to live life trying to avoid it. But by not looking for it, you're looking for it. So you attract it. Then you perceive it, then you get triggered by it, then you go into sabotaging patterns. And that's the cosmic joke of the mirror of life, that until you wake up and start to recognize that the common factor is you, everything you judge is you, everything you get triggered by is you, they're just the reflection to you. That's the gift of, oh my God, I got triggered again. What another gift for me to go heal. And that's where intimate relationships do that so often. Some people think I'm a relationship coach. I don't think I'm a relationship coach. I think I'm a transformation coach. Just your shit is magnified the most in relationships. So when you can learn how to dance consciously with your partner, I'll use this funny example, and this is perfect. So me and my wife, we were driving to a podcast to get interviewed for our relationship and like how to tell people how to have a healthy relationship. And on the way to the podcast, we both got triggered and we're having like a fucking argument on the way to the podcast. I'm like, babe, come on. We're about to like tell people how to have a great relationship and we're having a fucking argument. It was perfect. So I talk about maintenance tools versus progress tools. Maintenance tools is what do you do in the moment to regulate your nervous system through a trigger or through life. So I said, baby, I took ownership. Babe, let's both take a deep breath together. We do a diaphragm reset. Just did a couple of those. That's to regulate you out of a stress response into your window of tolerance, into your rest and digest connection nervous system. So we regulated through it. Then I said, baby, thank you for the reflection. The trait that you triggered me with was invalidation. So thank you for the reflection. That's me. It's not you. Thank you for mirroring that to me. I'm going to do a process on that on the weekend. Obviously, we're going to do a podcast right now, so I can't do a process right now. What was the trait I triggered in you? And rude was the trait. So we both took ownership of it. We regulated through it so we could get through it. And that gives us then an opportunity to go integrate and heal and love that part of us. And that's being able to do that so quickly in relationships is so great. I've grown more in my marriage or relationship more than anything else because of the amount of reflections we have back to one another. So when you have that awareness of how to take responsibility and the tool to address the root cause, holy shit, you will grow so quickly and you just like level up in business, health, finances, love, parenting, all a rising tide raises all boats. So I love what you said.
I love that. I love that so much because my sister and me are like addicted to like self-transformation too and healing. And I've been doing this now for like 10 plus years. So constantly being like, what is holding me back and so forth. And yes, I've grown the most in relationships. And currently she's been dating someone and they like, it's the first person she's dated where they do trigger each other. But though it's how they address it and how they work through it, because everyone says to them on the outside, like, oh, your relationship's so great. It's like, no, it's just how we're both willing to look at those triggers and speak through them. And so I think that's the main thing. And I've dated people where they're like blaming things rather than also taking accountability, or like there's a lot of men out there, and this is maybe a belief, but maybe because I go towards emotionally unavailable men, but like it's hard for me to believe that there's men that have done the work on themselves or are willing to face the work. To like look at those parts of themselves too that they're bringing to the relationship. But my sister has now attracted someone that is like that. And so, yeah, they trigger each other all the time. They're growing the most that they've ever grown in a relationship together because they're constantly seeing, you know, areas that they can improve on together. And that's definitely the main piece.
Yeah, 100%. And the part for you where you're sort of dancing between, it's like, is that a belief or is that a trait or a trauma? And that right there is actually a really good question to ask. Because clients often ask me that. They're like, is this a belief or is this a trauma? It's a discerning question. So the best way I get people to find their triggers is to go the root cause to the trigger. Because when you get triggered, it's either a wound or it's a conflicting belief. Now, are you from the States? Sorry, is that where you're from?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Best example
America.
I use lately is your president, is Mr. Trump. So I say, depending on your beliefs, if I say I love Donald Trump or I hate Donald Trump, it'll probably trigger someone, depending on their beliefs. Could you conflict their beliefs? That's one version of a trigger. The other trigger is the traits. It's, say, unavailable, someone is unavailable to you, or someone rejects you, or someone abandons you, or whatever the trait is. So for you, I personally prefer doing the trauma and the perceptions because I think it's a deeper transformation that people have from it. And it normally knocks out a lot of beliefs because, let me know if this resonates with you. So you've had a wound around someone being unavailable, being dad. You then create beliefs that stem from that wound. So you'd have wounds like all men are assholes. All men just leave me. No one loves me. All men are unavailable. There's no good conscious men out there. They're all stemming from that root cause of the wound of unavailable. So I like to take care of the beliefs because you certainly have a shift. I don't want to dismiss doing belief work, but I say beliefs work until they don't. So that's where doing like NLP or anything that removes limiting beliefs. It does work, but it's limited. And that's where, again, in my country, a lot of people do breath work, NLP, and plant medicine. That's like everyone I meet has done at least one of those. And NLP is neuro-linguistic programming for anyone that doesn't know. So it's a lot of belief work. You identify beliefs, remove beliefs, and it's great. It's a great stepping stone. But if you don't, again, address the wound underneath it, the perception towards the trait or the behavior, then you'll still have the triggers and patterns from the back end of it. You'll have a level of growth because you removed a belief. That's a great starting point. But for you, back to yourself, I would assume it's coming and stemming from that wound of unavailability from dad. So we want to rebalance that wound so you stop repeating the same patterns.
Exactly. What it stemmed into is the fear that I have a big fear about being misunderstood.
Yep.
So like that's what it came down to because it's like not available to see my actions fully, like see my heart. So then I constantly am over explaining myself to my partner, like, no, this is why I did this. And this is why I'm like constantly explaining myself. And then it's came into now I'm like, that's my biggest wound in just life, like needing to be understood, which
awesome.
not everyone's going to understand you. It's crazy.
You'll like this. One of the you and me have alignment with our core wound. So my core wound is hurt, rejected, and misunderstood. So they're my top three. So if anyone has alignment with those, you'll probably get along with me in my content because you'll see the reflection of me in you, which is fantastic, or a reflection of you in me, I should say. So if you're open to it, I can take you through a tiny little balance process to give you a taste of what it's like because you have a wound around being misunderstood. So you will get triggered when you feel misunderstood and you try to overcompensate. And this is a side note. Anyone who's a coach or a speaker or a teacher in some form have a wound around being misunderstood because they feel misunderstood. Wow. So they overcompensate by trying to learn how humans interact and how humans work to understand themselves. Interesting, hey? So are you open to a little process?
Wow, that's so interesting. Yes, let's do it.
All right, so don't judge your answers because I'm going to ask you obviously some personal questions in a moment. So
okay.
Close your eyes for me. And anyone who's watching, you guys can do a similar process. But trigger warning for the process because I'm going to ask you to go to a painful moment. So if you don't feel comfortable, anyone listening to this, just listen, don't do it. But if you're courageous enough and ready for it, do it. So for you, Tara, take a big breath in. I want you to go to the earliest memory you have of being or feeling misunderstood. And when you find it, I want you to tell me what happened.
So I always think of this time where I kissed a boy in second grade and my dad like came to my school and picked me and him up out of like a talent show and like dragged us outside and the entire school emptied and watched him yell at us.
Okay. Beautiful. So, thank you for the vulnerability. So this is, and you can keep eyes closed the whole time if you feel comfortable with it. Just breathe into it. So just, I'll sort of jump in and out of teaching and doing. So to rebalance and heal, trauma or perceptions are made in specific moments, mirror moments, and they're rebalanced in mirror moments. So you want to find, in a moment, I'm going to ask you to find the exact second you labeled yourself as being misunderstood or judging your dad for misunderstanding you, which I think that will be the case in this one. So I want you to take a big breath in and tell me the exact second you labeled your dad as misunderstanding you. What's the specific thing he said or did or didn't do that made you feel misunderstood?
He was like arguing with my mom downstairs saying like she's going to get pregnant. And I was in like second grade.
Awesome.
So I was like, what?
Awesome. Well done. And what you just did was really good. You're really quick at it. Some people take a while to find it. The more specific you are with the exact moment, the easier it is to rebalance and heal because your intuition is actually going to do a lot of the work for you. So I'm going to ask you some questions soon, and it's going to help you rebalance it really quickly. And your intuition will do most of it. So your heart will answer this a lot for you, okay? So just to read that back to you. So you're in second grade. Mum and dad are arguing downstairs, and dad said she's going to get pregnant. In that exact moment, did you label your dad as misunderstanding you? Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Take a big breath in. So we found the moment. And where were you as well? I just want to get the location as well.
In my bedroom.
Bedroom, okay. And you said second grade. How old would you be in second grade?
I'm not sure how old people are in second grade. I'm not sure. Probably young.
Cool.
I'm like 6 or 7.
Perfect. Awesome. So take a big breath in. Trust your heart and your intuition. Okay. Your heart will do a lot of this work for you. And whatever comes up, even if it doesn't make sense, just feel it and say it because it will feel right and it will come through. Okay. So big breath in. You're in the bedroom. You're 7 years old. Mum and dad are arguing and dad says she's going to get pregnant. Step into that moment. And in that exact moment, what did you summon within yourself to get through that moment? Use one-word answers. It will be traits, behaviors, or parts of you or feelings in that moment. So big breath in. In that exact moment, when dad said she's going to get pregnant and you were misunderstood, in that exact moment, what did you summon within yourself to get through that moment? Benefits is what we're looking for. Go.
I want to say something about like pushing, like I definitely pushed that poor little boy that liked me away. Like I was so like, I shunned him.
Beautiful. So what's that? We're looking for the gifts and the benefits to you. The gifts to you. So take a big breath into your heart. In that exact moment, when dad said she's going to get pregnant and you were misunderstood, in that exact second when you were misunderstood, what did you summon within yourself in that exact moment to get through that moment? What gifts did you gain in that moment? Trust your heart, Tara. Put one hand on your heart. Put your other hand on your heart.
This feels hard.
This is good. Okay. Just so you know, and just to give yourself some grace as well, the ego wants to avoid pain and wants to reinforce itself. So these questions go right against it. So these are hard questions. I had one client take 45 minutes to find one of these answers. We're not going to take that long. I trust I'll guide you a bit more
Okay.
through this. But just trust your heart. Your intuition will whisper something to you. You've got to trust it, okay? So breathe into your heart.
Okay.
Get super present in that moment. You're in your bedroom. You're 7 years old. Dad said she's going to get pregnant. In that exact moment, when you felt misunderstood, what did you summon within yourself in that moment to get through that moment?
Maybe something like I have to protect me
So protection.
now or something. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Go again. I want you to come up with about 5 to 10 answers. So protection. What else? Trust your heart. In that exact moment, what did you gain in that moment? What did it force you to learn about yourself in that moment when you felt misunderstood?
I know this is not a positive one, but alone.
No, that's right. So breathe into that. And what you just said, you just reaffirmed the negative lopsided perception. So that's why we're rebalancing it. So that's why you just went back to the old answer. So we're forcing you to find the unconscious parts that you missed. So in this moment, you created a lopsided perception that being misunderstood is bad and painful because of all these negatives that you experienced. But you were just unconscious of the upsides. So I'm just forcing you to find the upsides, which then you'll rebalance this trait. So take a breath in. In that moment, when you were misunderstood, Dad said she's going to get pregnant. In that exact moment, what did it force you to learn about yourself? What did you gain in that moment when you felt misunderstood? Protection was one. Go again. Trust your heart.
Basically, something like me against the world.
Beautiful. Is that independent, strength, driven, motivation? What is it? Courage, determination.
Yeah, I guess courage.
Beautiful. Well done. You're doing great. So there's 2. I want you to find 5. So we've got protection or protecting. You've got courage. Take a big breath in. Feel your beautiful heart. You have a beautiful heart, Tara. I can feel that the moment I met you.
Thank you.
So feel your heart and let your heart answer it. We have a heartbeat before we have a brain. Your heart and intuition knows the answer. We just need to listen to it. Like you said, get out of your own way. You said it before about Joe Dispenza. Get rid of that. Get out of the ego. Let the heart and consciousness and love within you answer this question. Big breath into your heart. In that exact moment where you felt misunderstood, when Dad said she's going to get pregnant, what did you gain in that moment? What did you summon within yourself in that exact moment to get through it? Protection, courage. What else?
I think nurturing.
Beautiful. Well done. Give me 2 more.
Maybe love.
Beautiful. Give me 1 more. Breathe into it. Your intuition's doing amazing. Be really present in that moment. In that moment when you felt misunderstood, what did you gain? How did it serve you? What did you learn? What did you summon within yourself in that moment?
Maybe wiser.
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Yeah.
Beautiful. So keeping your eyes closed. Now, in a proper process, I make you get minimum of 20, but we're not going to do that just for time today. But that's the minimum I'll do, 20. The highest is actually my wife. I've done a process on my wife, many processes with her. She found 230. That's the record. So it's
Wow.
with my community, I have a 100 tier club. So it's like a milestone that people try to hit. But we've just done 5. Then 5's a perfect start, and well done for finding these. So I want to read these out to you and feel them in your heart. Protecting, courage, nurturing, loving, and wisdom. Would you give up these parts of who you are, Tara?
No.
Absolutely fucking not, right? So feel this now. Gifts require 2 things. The giving of a gift and an opening of the gift. This is a gift that you are opening right now with me. Who's the person that gave you this gift to open?
I was going to say my father, but maybe
Yeah.
me?
You're opening the gift. So yes, you're opening. What you said was right. Your dad making you feel misunderstood was the gift. You're opening it right now. Because you wouldn't give up these parts of you, would you? You wouldn't give up your protectingness of others, your courage, your nurturing, your loving, and your wisdom, would you?
Mm-mm.
And your dad gave these all to you by making you feel misunderstood. Do you see that?
Wow, that's true. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. What would you feel if someone was to give you a gift, Tara, and inside of that gift was protecting, courage, nurturing, loving, and wisdom as a gift? What emotions would you feel to receive those gifts?
Grateful.
I want you to feel that as you say it. Breathe into it and feel the gratitude towards the person who gifted you this gift, which is dad. Dad gave you these gifts. When we wish for strength, we don't get given strength. We get given pain and challenges that make us strong. When we wish for protection, courage, nurturing, loving, and wisdom, we don't get given those. We get given feeling misunderstood. So it teaches us how to summon that within ourselves. So we get to give it back to everyone. Breathe into your heart and feel it. Feel the gratitude in you for you being the gift you are, for your dad giving you exactly what you needed to become the gift you are to so many people. Your audience, your clients, your friends, your loved ones, your sister. Because your dad gave you a gift you are worthy of receiving. Take a big breath in. Is there anything else you want to share whilst we're here before we wrap this up?
I was just thinking, like, that was so beautiful, first of all, but also, like, that is the reason I want to give to others. You're so right. It's like a powerful gift because now I want to help people feel understood or like help the underdogs.
Yeah. And like I said, we just did like a very, very mini version of it. I would get you to, so there's extra pieces to it. So we'd get minimum of 20. Then we go, who needed these gifts from you? So it might be client, mum, dad, sister, family member. How has it served you since that moment? So all the impact that you're making, this podcast, these things. And you're like, holy shit, dad doing that to me, making me feel misunderstood, has given me not all of them, but a lot of the gifts of who I am today to have the life that I have. Life's always happening for you, not to you. So many people hear that from Tony Robbins. How do you actually get that? Doing this process allows you to see it mentally and feel it emotionally. That's why I said mental and emotional in my top 2. So you feel the gratitude, the love, the abundance in your heart for you having all of these gifts and for that person gifting them to you. And then
it's so beautiful.
By the end of it, all the resistance. So even right now, how do you feel right now, emotionally, resistance-wise, towards the trait of being misunderstood compared to when we started that mini process?
So much better. Like, it's funny because before I was like, because I was addicted to healing these traumas, I'm like, I just want to get rid of it. Like, how do I just release it? But you turned it into a positive.
All traits are lovable.
Powerful.
And like what you just said is like, it's very common. So I love that you just said it. So many people do what you just said. I'm trying to get rid of that. That's saying you're trying to get rid of a part of who you are. I want to love myself by shaming parts of myself. It doesn't make fucking sense. It's like all parts of the baby are lovable. Everyone says that at the start when I ask that question. But then we go, and this is very human, so it makes sense why we go through it. Then we go through pain. So you went through a painful moment when you're 7 years old, when you felt misunderstood. Very emotional moment. We're humans because we have emotions, right? And then you've learned that being misunderstood is bad. So I don't want to make others feel misunderstood. So I want to make people feel understood. But I'm going to judge and shame and try to get rid of that part of me. And then we shame ourselves. It's a very vicious cycle when you start to see it. But then you recognize, holy shit, it's just a part of being a human and all the gifts that come along with that. Because let me know if this resonates with you. Because you've had that pain of being misunderstood, there would have been situations in your life where you wanted to leave a conversation, you wanted to leave someone, you wanted to do something, but you didn't want to make this person feel misunderstood. So you just like bit your tongue or didn't set boundaries. You may be a people pleaser because you didn't want to make the other person feel misunderstood. That's a trauma response. So we want to heal that because this is a triggering quote I'm about to say. There is no such thing as a bad trait, event, or person. Only lopsided perceptions created by human polarization. So you don't want to be misunderstanding to others because it's bad. And therefore, you actually rob them of gaining the gifts that comes along with it. But then you don't get to speak your truth. You don't be authentic. Like for me, people get triggered by this. Like if I am not vibing I've gone to like events or things, birthdays, and I'm like, this is shit. I'm going home. Like I'm not vibing this. It's like, but I'm okay doing that because it's like there's no such. Now don't take this to the extreme because I had a client that said this. It was a funny question. He's like, well, if everything's just perfect, does that mean I can just be the trauma fairy and just go around traumatizing people? I'm like, no, don't do that. Because we have conscious choice. That's the part that is missing there. I'm not saying, Tara, go out and make everyone feel misunderstood because now it's not a bad thing. Consciously choose how you want to show up. But if you're only showing up because you're overcompensating, it's still a trauma response. So you want to heal. I love this quote. It's the only problem you have is you think you have a problem. So you had a problem with being misunderstood.
true.
When you recognize it's actually a perfect balance trait and a beautiful part of who you are, you're okay making people feel misunderstood, which might include speaking your truth, setting boundaries, not being a fucking people pleaser, not letting your partner walk all over you, not putting up with bullshit behavior in relationships. So yeah, it's a big rabbit hole, but I thank you for going there, by the way. That was really beautiful.
No, I so appreciate you. And it's so good for people to see this live because now I'm just like, there's going to be so many people that are so drawn to you because what you're doing is very powerful. And even through like EMDR, when I was doing that in therapy, it's more so going through the pain, but not seeing the beauty of how this shaped you.
Yeah.
And I was going to say too, it leads to, because the misunderstood quality leads to what you just said about you're just being like lately I've been like, okay, I just need to be unapologetically be my authentic self.
Yep.
Because when you're trying not to be misunderstood, you're trying to shape shift to be something for everybody.
I love you. You're good. You're very good. You've done a lot of work. I love it. I love working with I love working with all clients, but people that have done some work because you can pitch and catch really well. So you'll be able to pick up what I'm saying pretty well compared to some other people. So 100%. It's learning to love all parts of who you are. Here's a good question for your audience, and I'd love to hear it from you too as well, Tara. Take a big breath in and just trust the answer that comes through for you. One word answer. What are you most scared to be seen as? Whatever comes up first.
Like weak.
Perfect. So you've had pain in your life for being weak. So you try to be seen as strong or independent or whatever it may be. So you would then struggle to show the weak side of you. So maybe surrendering into a masculine. Interesting, right? So we want to learn to love that part of who we are so we're okay showing it and being seen as it. Because you will judge others for being weak. You'll project onto them.
I do.
Well done. You're the projector.
Wait, so what do I do? So then I would be worried about being weak in a relationship?
Being seen
because of
as it. So whatever we don't love, we
yeah.
try to hide it. So it's the shaming mechanism humans have. Whatever's a bad part of us, because it comes from trauma and pain, we learn that's a bad part of who we are, so we try to hide it. So you try to not be seen as someone who makes people feel misunderstood. And that you try to be seen as someone who's not weak. And then when you are, you shame yourself for it. And you beat yourself up.
That's so true. Yeah, I'm like it's funny with those types of feelings that you want to not believe. You like try not to look at them in your head, like try to act like it's not there, and when it comes up, just ignore it again.
Yep.
But all these things are things that you need to kind of face, and it's so beautiful that you change it into a positive. And now I'm like, holy shit, I can't unsee how this has helped me so much.
Yeah. Perfect. And you'll start, and the beautiful part, and we did like, honestly, 5% of the process just then, the misunderstood process. That's like 5% of the whole thing. A full process takes about 90 minutes, start to finish. So that's why I do 90-minute sessions with clients. I have a mini version of it, which you can do in about 5 minutes, but that's kind of what we just did. But what happens then, when you remove the resistance to it, you stop attracting it because you stop trying to avoid it. You're trying to not run away from it. What you run away from, you run into. Because it's bad, I'm going to run away from it and have fear around it. Past fear creates future, past hurt creates future fear. What you fear, you create. What you judge, you become. So it's a vicious cycle again. So now, from that mini version we just did, you'll have less resistance to the trait of being misunderstood. So you'll judge people less for it. You'll be triggered less by it. And you'll be able to show that side of you more freely without judging yourself for it. Because it's not a bad part of you. All parts of a baby is lovable. That's why I start with that at the start.
What do you think? And by the way, I'm going to come to you personally. So anyone else listening, I'm going to go to you and they will probably too. But because now I'm like, I want to figure out these. But I was going to say how.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want to, I've done this a couple times for people. I just actually do a full process. So I'd love to connect offline and take you through a full process. So you have a full heart opening because you do it properly. Tears of gratitude will come down your face when you do it properly. It's really beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can already feel that it's like going to be so impactful to my life. Because no one's ever helped me shift the perspective before. So that was really cool. Yeah. I was going to say too, how much of life is, because like me and my sister crack up because anytime we date someone, we always want to share things that we're learning about ourselves or our traumas. And we're like, oh, I pulled this out of my blind spot, but I need to grow in this area. And so we're like, how much of our lives, which I'm assuming I know the answer, but I'd love to see your perspective, is just constantly working through these things probably for the rest of our lives? Are we constantly gonna find new things?
Yep.
And
Look,
that's the whole purpose of life?
yeah, look, short answer, yeah. So it's oh, have you seen the movie Soul? Like Soul? It's
Yes.
so good.
Love
So
that
good.
movie, yes.
Your life's spark. I teach purpose and how to find your life's purpose. So it's finding your life's purpose and your soul's values, and also healing and learning to love all parts of who you are. So in short, I don't believe any single human is ever fully healed. Because triggers, there's trauma, which is the traits and behaviors, misunderstood was one we worked on today. Coping mechanisms, it's what we do to overcompensate and not be seen as and try to be seen as from others. And then triggers, it's when someone does the trauma back to you and it triggers you into a coping mechanism. So using those three pieces, show me a single human who's never triggered. I'm yet to find it. So with that being said, I don't think you're ever fully fully healed. There's always more triggers to work through. However, there's a spectrum. I say this at my events. It's quite funny. So there's a spectrum of humans. On one side of the spectrum, we've got our spiritual humans. They've got their crystals on. They've got their sage. They're doing their plant medicines. They're doing their breath work. They're doing ayahuasca. They're levitating all fucking day. And these people heal. These people, more often than not, are broke as fuck. They have achieved nothing because they're not taking action. They're just bypassing taking action. They just need to do more healing. I need to heal more before I can get into relationships. I need to heal more before I start the business. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum where it's hustlers, people that achieve goals. This was me for a long time. These people often achieve things externally, but are unfulfilled internally. They haven't done the healing work. They don't know. Their overachieving attitude is actually a coping mechanism from being not enough and being unworthy and being invalidated and not receiving love. I think you can resonate to that too, Tara. So,
yes.
So for me, my work blends those worlds together. So it's okay. You're in seasons of healing or hustling. So it's what season are you in? So if you're like super sabotaging, super triggered, you keep repeating your same bullshit patterns, maybe it's time to look within. Maybe it's time to do some healing work. But then you want to do some healing and then, okay, are you sabotaging heavily or is it time to take some action? I like the term, fix the plane as you fly it. So you do the best with what you have right here, right now, whilst constantly integrating, healing your work, learning skills, and taking action. And it's learning to dance between those two worlds. So me right now, I'm in a hustle season. I'm doing more business, podcast, content, jumping on stuff like this. So the balancing process, which is the process we did a mini version of, I've done 23 of those start to finish. So I've done dad a few times, mum a few times, my wife a few times, ex-business partners, siblings. I've done a fair few of those. Now, at the start, you have these huge shifts because we do your core wounds, which is like mum and dad. So we'll definitely do the misunderstood one for you. So I've done a lot of those core ones. So those things don't trigger me anymore. So I've got more flow and less sabotaging patterns that play out. So then it's like, okay, I'm not sabotaging that much or as heavily as I used to. I'm going to take some action. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And then you'll hit a point. It's actually, do you know the theory of constraints? Have you heard of this before?
No.
Alex Hormozy teaches it really well. So essentially a system will grow to its lowest constraint. So let's use business. Say a business is a 10 out of 10 with its marketing. Its content's good. Your content's really good, by the way. So say your content, your copywriting, the content itself is a 10 out of 10. Top tier content. Say the sales is a 10 out of 10. The sales mechanism, the sales calls, the sales people, 10 out of 10, really good salespeople. Say the product, the thing they're selling is a 1 out of 10. It's fucking shit. It's a shit product, shit service, etc. The bottleneck or constraint of this business is obviously the product. If you fix the product and make the product a 10 out of 10, then the business would naturally grow to the next constraint. It might be customer fulfillment, culture, branding, systems, processes, whatever it may be. Human beings grow to their lowest constraint. It will be skills or it will be something mental or emotional within you, trauma or limiting beliefs. So it's like, okay, are you not taking action because you think you're a piece of shit, that you've got trauma, you've got nothing, and you're doing zero work? Then the lowest constraint is probably your personal shit. Let's address that. So we've addressed that. Now you heal and grow. Now maybe you can take some action and you can do that because maybe you don't know how to market. You don't know how to make good content. You don't know how to sell. So go learn the skills. So it's constantly dancing between, is it me? Is it something mental or emotional? 80% of the time it is. So success is 20% skills, 80% psychology. So most of the time it's your shit that's playing out. So we want to address that. But it's also the skills part because I'm in spiritual circles. I do plant medicines and I'm in a mastermind where it's a lot of spiritual humans, like super spiritual. On the spectrum, I'm like probably 70-30, 70% practical, 30% spiritual. There's people in the room who are like 100% spiritual. And they come up to me because I'm doing okay with business. My audience is growing. I've got like I'm doing okay with business. They come up to me, they're like, Lewis, how are you doing so well? I'm like, how do you build an audience? I'm like, post fucking content. Crazy concept. They're like,
have to do.
But like, I just need to like work on, I need to do some healing. I need to like sit with this. I need to feel this. I'm like, shut the fuck up and go post some content. Like, stop giving me the bullshit you need to heal. Yes, again, I'm obviously bypassing because I'm a human too. But it's that dance between hustling and healing. So that was a big answer to your question. It's, you're never fully healed. There's always more layers to do. But what's the best use of your time? Is it to sit in plant medicines and do balancing processes and heal your stuff for 10 years straight before you take any action? Probably not. It's do enough until you can start taking the action, and then you swing between those two seasons. Is it healing? Is it hustling? Is it a bit of both? So you got to figure out what's your lowest constraint and address it.
Yeah, I was going to say I resonate with both sides because I've been the type of person that like healed a lot at the beginning of my life. Like when I first got spiritual when I was like 20, and then I didn't do as much action, and then I started doing more action, and then I saw the results of my career, and then I wasn't being spiritual enough, and then I burnt out. But what's interesting is I'm around a lot of successful men that have built their own businesses, and I've had these conversations with them, and when I talk to them spiritually, because I could easily see the areas that they're like holding themselves back because they don't work on themselves. So it's like kills me to watch. I'm like, you know that you could just heal this and then you would be even more.
Yeah, I feel you.
So they think in their head, because I've had these conversations with them, that going into these wounds and things like this is going to hold them back from being successful. Like they think actually working on it, it's like, well, that's going to take me off of like being more successful. But what do you think about that?
Look, it comes down to what it is that you want to achieve. So my main goal for my clients is to turn people into visionaries where they create a life that's inspiring to them, a life that inspires you. Hence my book, The Inspired Life Method. Like my whole thing is the Inspired Life Method. So it depends. Like if someone's goal is just to be the most successful person externally and be super miserable internally, fuck the healing. Just go work, go achieve. But like that's no right nor wrong. I'm just that would like I like this. Whenever you hear the words you have to, you ought to, you got to, you must, you should, you need to, or some version of those words, someone is projecting their beliefs or values onto someone else. So I'm not here to tell anyone how to live their life. It's who are you authentically, values, purpose, mission, vision, and what do you want authentically, which is the vision part. Then what's going to help you move towards it. I'm not in the business of telling people how to live their life. I'm here to help them recognize and come back home to who they truly are, their authentic self, their soul's purpose, all these things. Remove the bullshit that's stopping them from being that person, expressing that, which is the healing work, and help them create it. So some people like, it's like the question of like how authentic or overcompensation is this, right? Like, is this person who just needs to achieve everything? Are they just overcompensated from trauma? Probably. But if they don't want to heal it, that's all good. Go achieve. But I like that because this was me. This was me for 24 years. So I started my conscious healing growth journey when I was 18, but it was more like Tony Robbins, motivation, take action, all this stuff, rather than like deep trauma stuff, which I only really started about 5 years ago. So like I got to a point where I owned 3 gyms at the age of 22. I had a team of 15. We're doing we're doing over 7 figures in revenue. And I was like, hustle. Like live off 4 hours of sleep every night. Sleep when you're dead was the stupid thing I'd say all the time. Sleep when you're fucking dead. I'd put screenshots of how little sleep I had on my Instagram profile just to show people how hard I was working, right? But I was like, I'm going to achieve everything. But that was me overcompensating from not being enough and being invalidated and being unworthy from my dad. So that was an overcompensation pattern. So it wasn't authentic. It wasn't healthy for that reason. Now, do I still achieve? I actually achieve more now than I did back then because I'm doing
exactly. That's the key.
Because I'm flowing more. There's less triggers. There's less resistance in my life. I've got a more balanced life. Like my marriage is beautiful. My health is amazing. My wealth is growing. I work the hours I'm inspired to work. So it's like, it's Saturday morning right now. It's 8 a.m. where I am right now on the Gold Coast. And once I finish this, it's like I've got nothing on my calendar. I might go train. I'm a video gamer. I love games, so I play video games as well. Yeah. So it's like I do things I'm inspired to do, not I'm going to do this because I think I'm a piece of shit and I'm going to overcompensate by overachieving. So, but ultimately, it's up to the individual. So if you want to just be the most successful person externally on the planet, go for it. But don't become so broke all that you have is money. Because that's the path I was going down for a long time until I had the spiritual awakening, hit rock bottom, had to heal and do all the shit. So again, it's both. How do you achieve everything? So the goal is, how do you achieve everything you want to externally and be deeply fulfilled and have meaning internally? That's the spiritual and hustle world put together. So I think bit of column A, bit of column B.
I agree. I love the way you think too, because I've definitely seen the balance of like being too much one way or being too much another way. Like some of the people that do no healing, they think that they have to work really hard in order to make money, and I think that's also a belief. So they're constantly like burning themselves out, but they don't feel enough, so they keep going, and that's how they feel like they would feel worthy enough when they receive that. But then you see their personal life, and their personal life, they're lonely, they're not fulfilled, they feel so. But what's interesting too, like you just said, when you actually heal these parts of you, you can work from a more like inspired action, right? Where you're like inspired to do these things, and you're aligned with you're aligned with, a more abundant mindset. I think abundance is like my favorite word, because it's like unlimited, you're more abundant, you know that you can have things come to you more easily and effortlessly when you're more like inspired and aligned, and you don't have to come from this place of like need, forcing, because that's all like resisting energy, and then you're constantly in the grind and like sacrificing your own health and mental and relationships and everything. So anyways, we could go on for hours, but I definitely see that, and I think that's a good piece for a takeaway for people is like, as you heal, make sure that you're also taking your inspired action and doing, because that's a huge part of it too.
Yeah. When what you do is the greatest expression of who you are, you will do your life's best work. Know your true self, know your life's purpose. I teach all this as well. How do you know your purpose, which is an expression of your greatest core wound? How do you give that back to others? How do you get paid to do it if you want to? And how do you build a life where you get to give that back to others and do what you love, what you're inspired to do with who you're inspired to do it by? And that requires both. Take an action, because I say you can't pay your landlord with gratitude, unfortunately. You got to pay your rent with money. So it's like, how do you do both? How do you take inspired action by knowing yourself, healing your shit, and also achieve the things you want to? Because right now we live in a world where you pay rent with money. So how do you then blend those worlds together? And that's the mission that I'm on, to show people how to do it.
You're amazing. I love having you on. You have so many good teachings, and I'm definitely going to come to you personally. Awesome. But tell everyone else where they could find you.
Thank you so much.
Socials and everything.
Thank you for having me. This has been heaps of fun. I love teaching. I love dancing with people who can dance with me. So thank you for dancing with me. I have a book. You can start there. It's called The Inspired Life Method.
Yes.
I think the best, if you want to jump straight into the deep levels of work with me, guys, I have a program. It's called The Conscious Community. It's on School, SKOOL. But best way to do it, go to my Instagram, and there'll be a link in my profile. Click the link in my profile. You'll see it there. I offer a free 7-day trial, so absolutely free, no obligations. You can cancel within the trial. And when you join the trial, you actually get a one-on-one call with me personally. So I do about sort of 5 to 10 of those per day, Monday to Friday. And they're so fun, just connecting with people and getting to know you. So if you're on the Gold Coast, I run in-person events, so you can come to the Gold Coast if you want to see me in person. But yeah, start with Instagram, start with my book. I've got a podcast too. Go binge on that. There's like 360 episodes, so you can go binge on that if you want to. But yeah. Hope that helped.
And tell them your Instagram handle.
Lewis Huckstep, LEWIS HUCKSTEP.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. You're awesome. Please comment, let me know what parts you loved the most, and tell me what you want me to speak about next. I read them all, I respond to you all, and please subscribe. This means the most to me to come on here each week and connect with you all. I love you so much, and as you know, I come back every week, so I'll see you soon.